afternoon. I'd like to welcome our very special and talented guest here today, Cedric Varcoe. Welcome.
Hello, Cedric.
Thank you.
Hi,
Hi,
Cedric.
everyone. How are you?
Good, thank you. And also Leanne and Lisa are here with us today.
Hello.
Cedric, thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule. Now, you've been at the opening today of the Business Hub.
Yeah, I was at the opening today doing the welcome to country and the smoking ceremony for the Business
Beautiful.
Hub today. Thank them for having me over again.
That was lovely. Now, Cedric, you were born in Adelaide
Yeah,
and you've got strong connections with the peninsula.
yeah. So my family are Naranga from the York Peninsula and also Ramangiri of the Ngarrindjeri Nation. So from Kangaroo Island round to Goa.
Beautiful.
I love your makeup.
Yeah. I got painted up today. Didn't have enough time to wipe it off, ready for the interview.
No, that's fine.
It looks awesome.
Yeah,
do
yeah.
you do it yourself?
Yeah, done
Yeah?
it myself this morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
to get it all ready for the smoking ceremony and the welcome.
And
yeah,
is this like special paint you use with your? Is it a tribe? Or?
Yeah, it's the designs my great grandfather used to use in ceremony.
Yeah.
And also, for when they used to do the welcome to countries. Well, back then it wasn't considered a welcome to country, but it was a ceremony that took place during certain events that they performed in. And my grandfathers were responsible for the war dance, the war ceremony.
Yeah.
And so this is the design that they used upon their faces in ceremonies.
Is it special
War
paint or like?
No, this one is actually just acrylic paint.
Yep.
But I do have white poppy clay that I use mainly, but I forgot to put it in the car yesterday. So I had to make do with acrylic today.
It looks good.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
each ceremony has its own design.
Yeah.
Mm.
So each ceremony is performed for different things, and each one might be for a specific reason. But mainly the person who's partaken in the ceremony would paint their ngaji or their dreaming or something that's related to their family.
Yes.
and their Lakangiri is what we call
Beautiful.
their clan or their family.
Lovely.
To pay respect to them for us. That's what
That's
Nazi
love, that's
means.
beautiful.
It has a meaning.
Yes,
Has
a
very,
story.
very strong meaning.
And
Yeah,
sentimental reasons.
Mhm.
You have four. Oh no, you have lots of dogs.
Yeah,
I was
lots
gonna
of
say, there's
dogs.
one for each of your children.
Yeah. Now there's a mob up there, Yeah.
Cedric, I met your family when you were doing some weaving out of
Mm.
Pandana. You've done quite a few courses
Mm.
here on the island. And any of your family taken your love of art?
Yeah, actually, my daughter just recently won second prize in the youth art show in Victor Harbour.
Okay,
That she
lovely.
submitted her artwork that was being drawn to a part of a selection panel for the SASTA, and the SASTA is the Indigenous youth. It's a curriculum that's run in the schools for the Indigenous youth at the schools, and so they were going to use the final, the one that got first place onto their Guernseys.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, my daughter came second and won, I think it was $75 in the competition.
Oh, lovely.
And,
Congratulations.
yeah, I was blown away by it
Yes.
too, And so it was actually showed in the Victor Harbour Council, and so I
Okay.
went and seen it, and it's a beautiful work.
Lovely.
And she's
And
really
she's
into
taken
it.
on your love of the art.
Yeah.
And you're following your cultures and
Mhm.
How old is your
Beautiful.
daughter?
She's 16.
16.
Yeah, yes.
And what is her name?
Her name is Sanisha.
Sanisha.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Sanisha.
lovely name.
Yeah.
Lovely name.
Sanisha.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, congratulations. You've won quite a few awards,
Mhm.
two of which the Don Dunstan Emerging Artist Award and the NAIDOC Artist of the Year.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well
Yeah.
done. Well
You're
done.
very-
Was that for this year?
Last year.
Last
year, so
last
2019.
year. 2019.
So you're very famous.
Yeah,
Yes.
very famous.
Australia-wide or worldwide?
Australian-wide now, you know.
Yeah.
Australia-wide,
yeah.
yes. So do people overseas know you as well?
Yeah, a lot of my work has travelled over there and been exhibited over there, and a few, like a lot of the work that is shown through the galleries here, majority of them actually get sent overseas.
Wow.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
do have a following over there that really enjoy my work, and it's good that it's being shown around, because a lot of
Yes.
the people that have purchased or came to South Australia and purchased one of my works has actually visited either Kangaroo Island, the Coorong, or the lakes or the river. So they've visited our Rui, our country, and when they first visited, they did not know there was story to these areas, and
Yeah.
stories that they've learned upon just reading about it in the gallery. And I've actually got to meet a few of them who purchased the work, but also wanted to meet me. So they made sure the gallery contacted me to make sure if I could meet to talk a bit about the art.
And that just
So
that
meet
adds
the
that
artists.
special, it just makes it even more special. When we were travelling in the Northern Territory, we bought a few pieces of art, and we did get to meet the artist, which was just adds that
It's
special
beautiful.
touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the
yeah.
central markets in Adelaide, we found an Indigenous art shop as well, and we
Okay.
went in and we were so excited. We found, this is one of our more popular artists, Cedric, and we thought, we know Cedric.
Well done.
We ended up getting key cups for our children as well. Because we wanted to express to them that art isn't
Yes.
just about a painting on
That's
the wall
right.
or the dot painting. You can do these amazing designs on things like cups and placemats and scarves, and
that's
women are starting to do a lot more clothing, Indigenous or Aboriginal art clothing and textiles. It's just
And Cedric,
endless.
Cedric, you've teamed up with Better World Arts.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's where the keep cups, and I went online, and there's hundreds of things that they're using your designs.
Yeah, they use the designs on a whole range of products, and then they distribute them actually around Australia, and I'm pretty sure overseas as well. And one of my highlights about it is that I visited the Murray Bridge Council office, I think it was, or Information Centre, and I walked in there and I seen they had the same kind of products, but different products, but all the artwork was from Central Australia, from the communities around Central Australia. And part of my younger years I spent while my nana was alive was at Murray Bridge. My family actually, most of them were born there and grew up there. And so I was in there yarning, and I was telling them about the products, and so they've actually got them in there now, where they're selling it, and the storyline is of that area. That's where it started from,
That
like
is
the Wimber's
amazing.
journey down the River Murray into the lakes, and he created it, and somebody that visit can take a bit of our Nuttingity story
That's right.
back with them, because they visited our country. And then Goolwa also, Information Centre, they've got them. The Port Elliot, where I live, post office has got them. I think there's another place in Goolwa has got one, and Victor Harbour. And so hopefully the island too.
I hope so. I hope so. That would be
So
amazing.
we should get you to sign us your autograph.
Get the autograph in there, ready for it.
And put it up. Well, we have had Aboriginal art displays during NAIDOC week.
Yes.
And also National Aboriginal Children's Day was this year. We did an art display of children from all the different schools, the campuses, put some artwork together, and we did a bit of a display.
In chocolate.
and
In
did some-
chocolate.
Yes, I
and
saw
in
that.
chocolate.
and did some bush tucker.
done.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's about everybody trying to do a little bit to introduce the art in a bigger
Yes.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cedric, I'd like you to tell me a little bit of a story. In 2008, you painted a cell in the Port Pirie Police Station. Now, this was a very special project for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a very special project. So I was invited by the please forgive me, I forgot, the leading sergeant of the Port Pirie Police Station. I was actually living in Port Pirie at the time, and he invited me to paint something that at first we didn't know it was going to be the actual cell, but he wanted an artwork that represent culture, but also represented, you know, our self-worth, who we are as a people, as a nation, you know, and our cultural, you know, our respect as a cultural person, and he wanted to, you know, that to be seen by the youth of the community, and then he had this idea. He came back and he contacted me and he said, "Oh, what about actually painting it in a cell that that often is used?" So it took a few months actually to get the work done. So the work in the cell was based on you know, a cultural scene of our everyday activity life, from hunting to ceremony to meeting, to our totems, to like every essential part of us and our culture.
Beautiful.
And then it's no matter who you are, you know, you still belong, you still matter,
Yes.
and you know, you have to be proud of
That's
yourself. And so, to my surprise, 12 years later, there's not one scratch on the artwork.
Wow.
And every time I visit,
There you
they
go.
keep telling me that. So it's one actually.
It's respect.
Yeah, it's respected
Respect.
in there, and it's actually one of the most, when you know, they do hold people in there, it's one of the cells that people choose to be in.
Oh,
Yeah. So it really makes me proud, you know,
It
that
would
12
do,
years later,
yes.
you know, it's still being admired, it's still being, you know, not vandalized, or
No.
nobody scratched their name
Yeah.
into it or anything, you
Yeah.
know.
So you actually painted it on the wall, the
Yeah,
cell wall.
on the cell wall, and it
Wow.
goes right around the cell. On the whole 4 walls, it goes right around, and there's a scene right around 3 of the walls, and then on the last wall, where you walk out the cell door, is a quote, and I can't remember exactly what the quote said, but it was about, you know, being proud, being respectful, but also no matter what ethnical group you're from, you know, you're still a person, you
Yes.
still matter.
Matters,
You know,
yeah,
everybody
yeah.
cares.
Everybody
Yeah,
matters,
everybody
yeah.
matters.
So all your lovely hard work has, it would be like influence,
Yeah.
and it's like a spirit that's in there, and it helps guide them
Yeah.
through that
To a
troubled
better
time.
place.
Yeah,
really.
through that
Yeah.
troubled times, you know,
Yeah.
and that was one of the main
Beautiful.
purposes
Oh,
of the
wow.
artwork, was to guide them and say,
Yes.
you know, you might be in here now,
Yeah.
but you can change
Yes.
from this day
Yes.
onwards, and actually there were a couple of people who actually spoke to me about it and said, you know, when I
Lovely.
seen that helped me, you know, try to overcome, you know, them troubled times,
That's right.
and make a better future
Yeah,
for myself.
yeah.
So it was a proud
That's
moment,
good.
you know.
And it would also be our white people as well.
Yeah,
Not only Indigenous, Aboriginal.
yeah.
So thank you for doing that. That's amazing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What a
Touched many hearts.
yeah,
touch
and
many
lives.
Yeah,
too,
lives as
you know,
well.
in a positive
Yeah, way, you know.
Mm.
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Now,
We should have it everywhere.
Oh,
What
we'd
can
love to
artists do it
use.
everywhere. In every town there should be something
Yeah.
inspirational
Yeah.
that
sure.
gets you clicking over and going, you know what?
Yeah.
This is spot
Yeah.
on.
I think
That's
they've
right.
done it in Catherine.
Yeah.
So I got a phone call some years, I think it was about a year after I completed the artwork, that they wanted to do a similar project with, my support in behind it, because they did not want to copy the idea.
Yes.
But they wanted my permission to say, is it okay if somebody from this community
Lovely.
does something
Yes.
similar to that?
Yeah.
And I said, you're more than welcome
Oh,
to. You're more than welcome
That's
to, because we
amazing,
want
yeah.
them to see that, everybody goes down troubled times.
Yes, we all do.
we do.
And it's about us keeping strong and holding on to hope and
Yes.
our values, our cultural values, and saying when we come out of this troubled times, we're going to be back on a good
That's
road
right.
and we're going to be better, We've got to
Yeah.
learn from that and, we're going to
Go
move
forward and
And
be
love
able
each
to
other.
move.
Yeah,
Behave
Love
like
each
a
other.
community.
Yeah,
That's right.
That we're
Yeah.
supposed to.
That's
Do you
right.
have a photo of the painting that you drew?
No, actually, sorry.
Get a photo.
I did have my little portfolio, but I lost it in the midst of one of the workshops.
We could probably ring the Port Pirie police station
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ask
Ask them
them
to
for a
take a
photo.
photo.
Yes.
And
Do you
then
have
do-
permission for us to put it on our Facebook
Yeah,
new
they might be
website?
able to send
Okay.
photos of them,
Oh,
you know.
thank you
Yeah,
for
that would be
that.
lovely.
You're
Yeah.
welcome,
Yeah.
And if you do posters and sell them.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
New marketing tip.
That's right. Cedric, you do weaving and painting.
Yeah.
I've looked at your work online and some of your painting's just amazing. The colours are so vibrant and beautiful, but your weaving, oh my goodness, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful baskets and containers and where do you source your rushes?
Yeah, that's so traditionally the rushes were grown throughout around the lakes,
Mhm.
along wherever there's a fresh water source, they would grow really good. And sadly over the years it's been seen as a weed. And because once they populate, they grow from the seed head, drops to the ground, and a whole new rush grows back. But they're a really important part of our culture is rushes, weaving in itself. From collecting the rush, you have to go and find the rushes, and then you have to pick one out of a time, and you got to pick the good ones, and you want the longest ones as possible.
Yes.
And there's a variety of thickness and thinnesses, but you pick as much as you can. But in that process, when you're traditionally we didn't have cars, so we would travel from area to area to catch up with family or to go, collecting fish, fishing and collecting bush tuckers. So every time you come across these rushes, you would pick, and you'd be telling stories, and you'd be sharing really, everything about culture and everyday life, through, just picking rushes. And then you got to wait a period of time for them to dry. And so in that period of time of drying, you can still go out and pick more. And
So it's a very long process.
it is a long process,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful process
Oh, it
as
would
well.
be,
Because
yes.
then once they're dried, then it's time to come together and weave. And usually we would be sitting in family groups,
Yes.
and for us, Narangiri, and when I say Narangiri, meaning all of the 18 clans that form the Narangiri nation, every family member is shared through this coming together to weave either a
Yes.
mat that is carried from place to place or around the body of the mum or the elder. When you're weaving them, every family member performs in that woven object. So everybody's got a part to weave.
Wow,
And-
that would be very special.
Yeah, it's
Yes, wouldn't it?
each
Like a
piece is
production,
special.
so
Yeah.
this is your.
This is
That's
your
fascinating.
part, this is my part, And not so much now, but when I was younger, there were actually family mats that were being made,
Okay.
where each family member had to do a circle or shape, or a few rows of stitches, and it's about all that generation working as one big piece, and that's traditionally what was happening. And then that piece is then taken for ceremonies to sleep on or sit on, to prepare food on, or to cover yourself, to hold the baby and well in the back. And when you're doing the stitches, that's when the sharing comes in, and you're sharing your art form. So you might have been, say 5 years old, witnessing your aunties, your papas, your nanas, uncles, dad, every family member taking part in a stitch. And in Narangiri culture, men had to learn the art of weaving in order to become, through the stages to manhood, to then be able to make nets, carrying baskets and stuff like that. So they knew this craft. It was an essential craft for when they marry and then go out and live with their family, and then they needed these skills to make all these
and that's
objects.
passed down into each generation.
Yeah, each generation has then learnt that skill to use.
Beautiful.
And so Russia's helped, in that sharing of culture, sharing of stories, sharing of family history, your ties to other Narangiri Lakagiri family groups and clans. So weaving is a big part of our culture,
I can see that as a coat of arms for each family.
Yeah, because each family would have a different stitch, and or a shared stitch. Like different lengths.
So you can tell whose family did what.
Yeah, whose family you come from back then. Not so much today.
No.
It's the common stitch today, but some elders used to actually do the really
specific
stitches and that,
And you also incorporate feathers and shells. When you did, now you're putting together the weaving that everyone did here on the island, going back a few months now, where we all did our own individual piece, and we incorporated in our piece, whether it would be a feather. I put a special shell, because the ocean holds close to my heart, so I incorporated a lovely shell into my weaving. So you're going to be, you've gathered all these different areas where we did these classes, and you're going to be putting it up into joining it all together.
Yeah, we're going to be over 3 days weaving it all together and connecting it.
Yes.
And like everybody that came to the workshop, I think it was from about 6 years old to 95 or something like that.
Yes, that's right.
So all the various age groups, there were also gentlemen who came along and took part in it. So there was a whole range of ages, experiences, from different backgrounds, and we all, everybody was connected through the workshops and the weaving workshops. That was our aim, was to connect everybody, and so we're going to connect all the pieces together.
Beautiful.
And that's how we all connected now.
And where's that going to be hung?
That's a good question, actually. Yeah. I'm not quite too
Not
sure.
in the business
I'll get back to
Might
you.
be. Could be. Yeah.
Business hub. That'd be a good.
That would be,
Yeah. Well, that's,
So you taught from a very young age how to weave and paint.
And that, and actually when I started painting, I was about eight years old when I started, and then my mum used to be into arts and crafts and stuff like that, and so it was something that I liked doing. But then as I got older, I was, it's sort of, I left it for a little while. And actually when I was in Port Pirie, when I moved there, and I back then I only had 2 children, my 2 oldest children, I got some painting canvases and I started doing it again, like getting back into the art. And then one of my daughters, my oldest daughter's kindy, actually, it was on a NAIDOC week or reconciliation week or something. It was an event, but they did not know any Indigenous people of the community, and my daughter was the only Indigenous person that student at the kindy. And so they said, "Oh, do you know any stories? Would you like to come and share? On the day, so we can just pay our respect,
Lovely.
to your culture and that." And I said, "Yeah, I'll come and do it." And that's about, she's 16 now, so that's about 12 years
ago.
back.
Wow.
That she
Jeez.
was there.
Yeah.
And since then, I've been basically nearly since then I've been doing the workshops, and all the time.
got famous.
And it just grew from there. It was like, I don't know how these people got my number. I didn't realise they had this big.
We're obviously doing something right.
doing something right,
Yeah,
and
that's great.
I've been called all the time to come in and do it.
And that would be such a lovely feeling for you to be able to share your culture, your love of art with everyone else.
Yeah.
And what
Very
you're
much
doing is
proud.
so positive and inspirational
Yeah.
For
for
sure.
not just your generation, but the younger Aboriginal children coming through. Something we have 2 Aboriginal children in our care, and it's really hard to find a lot of cultural stuff that they can get involved in and inspired by, that doesn't have a negative component to it from the media. So with what you're doing, that's the sort of thing that we're guiding our littlies to say, look, this is what it's about. It's about the spirit. It's about we are one. It's about all of that. It's about who you are. It's about how you feel. It's not about anything else. You've got beautiful culture, and at the end of the day, it's one of the most beautiful cultures in the world.
It is.
So let's embrace it and whatever. And so they're growing up quite strong culturally, not thinking, I just have to do this or I have to do that, and just going with the spirit side of it. So it's really good what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're educating us as well.
That's
right.
Education,
the
inspiration.
community, the parents and all that, the education, and sharing with them something that they have never had the opportunity to learn about or to be shared with, and so I really enjoy it. Like the last, say, 10 years I've been actively into doing the workshops and that. I never thought that I would get to where I am today. So my career actually took off, and that I didn't realise that was happening. Because I was too busy, being called into do, workshops or, story sharing and that, and so my own career as an artist took off, and back then there was not really much. There were artists, but there was not much of the sharing of our storylines and of our country and the particular areas, that is visited or that are now towns that have really meaningful, significant cultural aspects of it that our ancestors created for us, and they're like Kangaroo Island, Cape Jarvis, Wapinga, Victor Harbour, Port Elliot, Goa, Murray Bridge. The list goes on, but all these places that are now towns were actually places that our Larkindjeri lived at, and that our ancestors created for us, and particular places that we visit have got really significant cultural history and meaning to it. And so I wanted to capture that in my work, and I started doing it, and then I started to think about how could I change my work, and like give it a fresh new look. So I went with colour, and everybody was saying you can't use this colour with that colour, so I was like, well, I'll put them all together then. and it make the rainbow, you know. And
Wow.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
amazing. I went online and your work is stunning. Now, your current piece, which I believe it's your biggest piece, is Kindergarten at Port Elliot.
Yeah, we're doing a mural. It's about 9 meters long in length, and about 3 meters high. And it's the biggest
That's amazing.
work I've worked on on my own in my career as an artist, and I'm really enjoying it actually.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's coming together nicely, and yeah, they're gonna share, you know, the work in itself. When it's all completed, so
Lovely.
people can see it and see what I've created for them. But it's actually of our storyline
Lovely.
and where that particular place is, and the significance around that area that it is, you know, because there's only one last spring there that's been made into a well,
Okay.
and the other 3 in that area has been covered up
Oh,
to build
goodness.
houses on.
Wow.
Yeah. So that spring actually
Yeah.
supported a big family camp, you know, that lived there.
Lovely.
So it's a significant area in its own, you know, and it's
We might have to find a wall for you to do here on the island.
yeah, definitely.
That would be
Yeah,
lovely.
Yeah,
We'll have
I've
to-
got
one at my
that.
place.
I was going to say, you're very popular on Kangaroo Island and now famous with 5KIxFM. Maybe you could paint us something small to put on our wall.
Yeah, paint on
wall
the
in
wall,
here
or
or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, to give you
No,
a bit of
that's
inspiration
lovely.
every
That would
time
be
you're in
awesome.
here. Yeah, be deadly, you know.
And then every day when we come in here and we see the painting, we will think of you.
Yeah, think of me then, you know. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
And the
lovely.
nice colours and make you
Yeah,
happy,
your
you know.
colours are stunning.
Yeah,
Absolutely
deadly, you know.
stunning.
How long are you
Yeah.
here for?
Actually, today, just today.
Just today?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then
And
I'll
when
go
are you
back
coming back
tonight.
next?
Yeah.
And what tools and equipment do you need?
I think so. 1.5 weeks you're coming back to
Yeah,
put together
1.5 weeks
Are you doing
back.
more courses?
Yeah, we're
Weaving
doing.
courses?
We're putting all the everybody's weaving together into one big piece
Are you going to bring it back and present it?
and present it to the community. That's
So
So
you're
you
going to do
yeah.
it here on the
So
island?
you guys didn't
Yeah,
get
yeah.
to take yours home with you when you did it?
No, I'd finished mine. If you
Yeah,
hadn't
yeah.
finished it, you could take it home
Yeah.
and finish it. But I finished mine at the class, and I handed mine in there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's going to be great.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to do the next one, Leanne, won't we?
Yeah, you're having more?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to be doing more.
Okay, well,
yeah.
Lisa and
I'll be there
come
again.
and-
Yeah, we'll definitely
Bring
let
the
everybody
kids
know.
along as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
little. So what age? All ages.
All ages.
My little granddaughter's 8, so she
Yeah,
would
yeah.
probably
Oh, yeah.
very
Yeah.
much like
Would like
to
to
do
do
that.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
And you do classes at the schools,
Yeah,
our schools here on the island.
Yeah,
Yes.
at the schools as well. We done the mosaic, not the mosaic, the mural actually.
Yeah,
With the school and the community.
beautiful.
We've done 3 panels that we painted to represent, our storyline to the island, and our creator who created it for us. But also, all the children got to put something that was meaningful to them about the island onto the artwork to
Wow.
represent Kangaroo Island
Lovely.
on the artwork,
Oh, how
So
awesome.
it was really deadly, and
Oh.
it really come out beautiful. The work
Beautiful.
was,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Can I ask you a question about bush tucker? So I did some research on bush tucker because we were doing things at home with a garden and wanted to incorporate something for the children as part of their culture. And so we came up with lemon myrtle. So we have aniseed and cinnamon lemon myrtle that we've planted. And we have some carob that we've planted, and a couple of other little bits and pieces. What else could we do as bush tucker? Got any
There's
tips
some.
for me?
I thought you were going to ask him about witchetty grubs.
Yeah, witchetty grub,
I
yeah.
always tasted witchetty grub when I lived at Tennant Creek, and I was a child. I
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
go to the lady that was the cleaner at the school. I was friends with her daughter, and after school I didn't want to go home, so
Yeah.
go to their house, and I
Try
did.
different food.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was only year 2. How old were
Okay.
they then?
Yeah.
But
So
you know, we
young
just
and
Hey,
it's-
hey,
we just hung around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
went swimming in the creek and it was great.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had a great
I remember
time.
doing that.
Join that, you know.
So you
Yeah,
do eat
witchetty grubs.
Yeah,
Yeah. Straight out of the ground.
yeah.
Yeah?
You can eat them straight up, uncooked,
You don't
raw.
cook.
You don't have to cook them, but some fellas do like them cooked. Where we're from, like down here, the witchetty grub is actually found in the actual tree. There's little holes in it that the the moth lays the larva, the egg, and then it turns into the witchetty grub. And then there's a little it's made out of a branch. It's then carved down so thinly, it's like a long wire. And then it's then threaded through the little hole in the tree, and then it's like a little fish hook in it, and then it catches the grub, and then they pull it out then.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and when you go Central Australia, you actually got to dig into the ground, into the root system of the tree, to then get the witchetty grub out of the ground.
Wow.
You know?
They have them on the island, don't they?
Oh, do
Sure
they?
Yeah.
We've found them in our garden.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. They'll be on here as well.
You don't eat them though.
No,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
haven't.
yeah.
I haven't yet. I need to be a little more educated
Yeah.
to know
I think
what
I'd rather
is-
cook it. I don't think I can
Yeah.
imagine biting its head off
Biting its head
live.
off.
Knowing,
Yeah.
knowing me, I'd eat it and then realise
Yeah.
it's one of those hairy
Yeah,
grubs.
yeah.
No.
So what do you recommend? What else
There's,
can we plant that's
there's
easy to
muntries.
make? Muntries?
Muntries,
They grow
yeah,
well
yeah.
over here.
They grow well.
Muntry berries.
Pig face.
Yeah, I've
Is
got
Big
one.
face.
Berry or
That's
What?
the big
That's
face
the with
plant.
the flower.
The little flower.
Yeah, I've got
yeah.
beautiful
There's a
ones.
little,
Yeah, sure.
there's like a little grape-like thing in it that
Once
is
the flower.
suckling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once
Oh,
the flower
okay.
is gone,
Gone.
then you can eat it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's used also as like an hydrant, like to
There's a lot of water in the
a lot
the
of water in
plant.
the plant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a humectant.
I can give you plenty of
And
cuttings
then
of that.
Yeah.
Mint,
Mint.
made of mint. Another
Okay,
one.
I've got that and chocolate mint. I've
Yeah,
got.
and the yams.
Yum.
Yams.
Yams. There's yams.
They're
that
good for
from here.
hormones too, aren't they? Hormone
Can eat
balance.
them.
Okay.
Yeah. Make little roast little yams.
Oh, lovely.
Roast them up and like traditionally they cooked in a fire or earth oven and
Yeah.
that.
Maybe you should do
Throw
a
it in with a bit of damper.
bush tucker
Yeah.
course or
Yeah, bush tucker
breast,
course or
what do
something.
you
Do you
call
do a
it?
bush cut?
Yeah,
cook,
yeah.
cooking.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like cooking
cooking
class.
class. Yeah.
There you go. Book
And
you
then
in
the
when you come back.
acacia, I think it's called acacia seed. It's a
Acacia
seed
seeds.
that's then grounded up to make little
Yeah.
Johnny cake,
Yeah.
like little bread-like cake.
Ah.
Yeah.
Wow, so
Okay.
you're jack of all trades. You can cook as well as
Yeah,
paint
yeah,
and weave.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, that's good. And my last question is the younger generation coming through. What's the best advice that you can give to guide them into a positive culture?
That's a good question.
What do you suggest? I mean, other than what we do at the moment is really encourage them to be respectful as part of their culture and respect their elders and olders, and that's pretty much as far as we've got.
Yeah. I would say is that, be yourself, but don't be afraid to be proud of who you are, where you're from, and who, you as an Indigenous person, and always, be connected to culture and anything based around culture, and be willing to listen and learn, because we do need you. We need you. You're the next generation,
Yeah.
and so we need you to share, continue on what our old people has given us, and so we need you to to come to us and be guided and be willing to listen and learn. And and also we want you to do it in a contemporary way. Like today, we've got a lot of gadgets that my own mum doesn't even know how to work, and so the contemporary side of today's technology is going to help us
Yes.
to share with you, to give you the information that needs to be passed
That's right.
on,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
and just keep on doing what you're doing,
What you love.
and what you love to do, and whatever interest is that you're interested in, be proud of it, and because culture is going to play a part in
right.
anything you feel like you're doing. Culture is always going to play a part of that, because it helps you keep your miwi, what we call miwi, our ourselves, our spirit, our very essence of
Things
who
you
we
believe
are.
in.
Believe in.
Yeah.
Culture makes us stronger, and our miwi makes us strong, and our nachis make us strong, and that's what makes us strong as a person as well.
Yes.
And so, knowing that, you're right, because culture gives your miwi the strength it needs, and so we need you to always be around culture, or be connected to it, and always caring for country and getting to know, where the storylines are of, and all that plays a big part in the caring for country, caring for sites, caring, for story. That helps feed your miwi, so that helps make you stronger in yourself, and then you can go out in the big world and be proud of who you are and where you've come from, and your family and your background, and you're definitely going to be a deadly follower then.
Yep.
An extended family.
That's right.
And I'll share something that my son said that is just the most beautiful thing. It was freezing cold. He was outside with no shoes on, and I said, "Oh, come on, just pop some shoes on." And he goes, "I don't know, I don't need to wear shoes." And I said, "But you do, it's freezing." He goes, "Mum, I'm Aboriginal, I'm connecting with the earth." And I went, "Oh, darling, that is so beautiful, but it's still cold."
Says Mum.
Yes, such a mum comment.
Yeah. Oh, how lovely.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
it's, again, he understood that he has a connection with the earth, and we're teaching them about looking after
You're building
the
on that.
earth.
Yeah.
And the
lovely.
animals, marine animals and wild animals. My daughter can walk past an animal on the other side of the road, and that animal will cross the road to come and get a pat from her. It's just, it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it. So to me, that's internal. It's not external.
That's right.
It's in there.
Wow.
Because we're all connected. Every living thing in country or in the water, or or in this
The universe.
universe,
It
this
is,
world,
yeah.
we're all connected to it, and the creation, the Kalanawinjiri that created us, and our very essence of our existence in this country or in this world, we're all connected to it, they're connected to us, we're connected to them, and
Beautiful.
that's what miwi is. Miwi is what connects us to everything,
All together.
all together as well,
Lovely. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Yes,
I know you have a
thank
very
you.
busy schedule, and your poor wife's sitting out there waiting for you. It was lovely to meet her too.
It was.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And
everyone.
girls,
Yeah,
Leanne and Lisa, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Naka.